Hello everyone, welcome back to another lesson. Today's learning goal is I can set up and solve equations for real world problems. And today we're going to focus on our equations that and word problems that require you to have variables on both sides. Okay, so these type of questions are going to require you to have x on both sides. We've done word problems where x is just on one side, but here we're going to find out when things are equal. Okay, two things are going to be changing, and we're going to try to find out when they are going to be equal. That's how you know that there's going to be an x on both sides of this word problem. So, for example, the first problem says that container A and container B have leaks. Container A has 800 milliliters of water and is leaking 6 milliliters per minute. Container B has 100 milliliters and is leaking 10 milliliters per minute. How many minutes M will it take for two containers to have the same amount? So for questions like this, I like to draw a little picture because Mr. Wan is an artist. As you guys can see, I've drawn two containers. One of them has 100 milliliters, so it's a little higher than the other one that has 800 milliliters. And the 1000 milliliter one is losing 10 milliliters per second, while the other one is only losing 6. So even though this one starts off with more, it's losing more, or losing at a faster rate as opposed to the other one. So at some point, they're going to have the same amount of water. So what we're going to be looking for is when those levels are going to be the same. So we need to come up with an expression that represents the left-hand side's level after m minutes and the right-hand side's after m minute. Well, since it starts off with 800, our constant is going to be 800. It's going to go down 6 milliliters per second. So this one is going to be 800 minus 6m. Because, again, 800 start with 800 and we're losing 6 milliliters per minute. The other side, it starts off with 1000 and it loses 10 per minute. So 10 milliliters per minute. And we're going to try to find when those two things are going to be equal to each other. So we're going to put an equal sign between them. So we have 800 minus 6m equals 1000 minus 10m. So that those two represent the level of water in each of those containers after m minutes. And then we start simplifying. And so I'm going to add 10m to both sides, solving for m. And then we get 800 equals 4m equals 1000 because negative 6 plus 10 is 4m. Then we're going to subtract 800 from both sides. We get 4m equals 200. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 4, which is 1/4. And we find that after cross-canceling, m equals 50. And again, we're going to be stating our answers in sentence form. Remember that I am going to be a stickler about that, so make sure you do that. It will take 50 minutes for both beakers to be the same height. Here, it says the cost of a song on iTunes, when iTunes used to sell music, you guys know, is 99 cents per song. To purchase a song from Napster, you must be a member. The Napster membership fee is $10. In addition, each song costs 89 cents. How many songs D must be purchased for the monthly price of Napster to be the same as iTunes? So we need to we're asking for when the monthly price are going to be the same. So we need to have an expression representing the price for iTunes and the price for Napster. Well, iTunes is very simple. Since it's just 99 cents per song, it's going to be 99 cents for every song, and songs are represented by D. That is iTunes. Then we have Napster. Napster. Theirs is a little more complicated. Those you have to do $10 each time plus 89 cents per each song. So those two expressions represent the cost for each one of those things, and they have to be equal to each other because we're trying to find out when, how many songs we have to buy in order for it to be equal. So we have the iTunes equals Napster. So therefore we have to subtract 0.89 from both sides, and we get 0.1d equals 10. Then we multiply by each side by 1 and 1/10. 1 and 1/10. And remember that if we were to move this decimal over and make this one at the bottom, we'd have to move a decimal over one more time over here. So this is really just multiplying by 10. And 10 times 10, as we know, because this is 10 over here, 10 times 10 is 100. So it would take, if it'll let me show you, 100 songs for the monthly prices to be the same. Okay. Notice how I'm not having you guys define what the variable is, because this questions already give you what that variable is over here. But if it doesn't, you should define what that variable represents. So this one says UPS charges $7 for first class packages and 20 cents for each pound the package weighs. FedEx charges $5 for first class packages and 30 cents for each pound the package weighs. How many pounds will it take for UPS and FedEx to cost the same? So go ahead and try part A out on your own. What you should set up is 7 plus 0.2p, which is the UPS, equals 5 plus 0.30p. And then if you solve it all the way down, what you should have found is that it takes 20 pounds for the packages to cost the same. So that all being said, that means that if your package weighed more than 20 pounds, you would want to go with the UPS option, and if it weighed less than 20 pounds, you want to go with the FedEx option, and if it weighed exactly 20 pounds, well, it doesn't matter what option you go to, the price will be the same. Part B says, what will the cost be at that weight? So, what that means is that we are going to find out the price at that weight. So what we're going to do is plug in 20 for P. It doesn't matter which side of the equation you do it for. You can do it for both, you can do it for one, it doesn't really matter because the cost is going to be the same. So I'm just going to do it for UPS. So that means that 7 plus 0.2 times 20. Okay, and we're going to simplify that down. So 0.2 times 20 is 4. 7 plus 4, and then it's going to be $11. So the cost is $11 at that weight. Period. Go ahead and try this one out on your own. The equation that you should set up would be for Lenny, $55,000 plus 2,500y equals 62,000 plus 2,000y, which is Carl. So the left-hand side is Lenny, right-hand side is Carl. And then when we solve it, subtract 2,000y, we get 500y on the left-hand side, subtract 55,000 from both sides, we get 7,000 on the right-hand side, multiplied by the reciprocal. And we get y equals 14. So they will make the same amount of money in 14 years. Part B says, how much will they make that year? Go ahead and try that one out on your own. What you should have found is that they would have made $90,000 in 14 years. They would make $90,000 in 14 years. What a great, great life. So here it says that Henry is in town A and traveling to town B, and Emily is traveling from town B to town A. They leave at the same time. Henry drives 50 miles per hour and Emily drives 45 miles per hour. The two towns are 332.5 miles apart. How many hours will it take Henry and Emily to cross paths? So here, we're going to start by, for these ones, especially ones that deal with this, where they have to cross paths on a road, I'd like to make a picture. Okay? And the reason I like to make a picture, because it's a little bit hard to conceptualize what's going on here. So Henry is going from town A to town B, and Emily's going from town B to town A. Henry's going 50 miles per hour. Emily's going 45 miles per hour. and the distance is 332.5. So at some point they're going to cross paths. I don't know where, probably something around here because Henry's going a little bit faster. And we want to know how long is it going to take for them to cross paths? How many hours is it going to take to cross paths? And to set up this equation, what we need to think about is we need to think about this in terms of setting up equations, expressions that represent how far each person is away from a specific town. It doesn't matter which town you choose, as long as it's the same for both of them. So I'm going to say we're going to set up equations that represent how far each person is away from town A. Okay, so Henry is going from town A to town B. So each hour he gets 50 miles further away. So I'm going to represent that. Let H be how many hours they are on the road, and say that Henry each hour is going to be 50 miles further away from town A. So Henry's expression to represent how far away he is from town A is going to be 50 H. Emily starts off at 332.55 miles away from town A to begin with, but then she gets closer each hour by 45 miles. So her expression for how far away she is from town A at any point in time is 332.5 minus 45H, because she gets closer and closer and closer to town A. And at some point, they're both going to be equally far away from town A. So we're going to set them equal to each other. 50H equals 332.5 minus 45H. Then what we were going to do is add 45H to both sides. And we can get 95H equals 332.5. Multiply both sides by 1/95, which gets us 3.5. So H equals 3.5. So therefore, they will cross paths in 3.5 hours.